Hello dear friends, this is an overview for the most important astrological aspects and transits for February 2020. But since I didn't make the monthly videos for December and January, I will say a few words about celestial events in January. I will say it now in this video. But actually, particularly in this video, I will say something about the events on the mundane level in January and in February, and in a separate video, I will briefly describe how transits will influence individuals during February. So I have two videos for February. As I could not make one, it would be too long. That's the reason why I separated them. So the full moon is on the 9th of February. It will be in Leo sign. A new moon is going to happen on the 23rd of February. It will be in Pisces. There are many important transits, but let me say the most important. The Sun is going to be in Aquarius until the 19th and then in Pisces. Venus will be in Pisces until the 8th and then afterwards in Aries. Mars will be in Capricorn since the 17th. And all big planets are direct during February. The most important event is actually the sextile that is going to happen between Jupiter and Neptune, and it will be the exact between the 17th and 21st of February. Let me say at the beginning that in most of my videos I repeat that I do not engage in classical astrology. I do not tell people what is going to happen to them. I do not make any predictions actually. I deal with the personal and spiritual development of individuals and partly of the collective, and I use astrology as an instrument to help me to discover inner models or inner patterns, let's say, and those patterns have each individual and also collective. There is this collective consciousness, and we can speak about patterns in each collective. In a way, I read symbols, I can say. So, if you ask me, everything that is happening to us means something, and we can explain a lot to ourselves if we want to do so. This is true also for the world events. As you know, there are always people who interpret economics, politics, some natural happening, that is happening in nature, especially if big things happen in nature or ecology. People comment those events, and actually they also read them as a symbol. They say what this means. Something happens in politics, and they say, oh, what this can mean, what this can mean for the future, for example. Well, we do something similar with astrology. So what did we see in January? If you ask me, the par excellence event was the murder of high state politician. Actually, few politicians were murdered, but one was the most important one, who was actually on a diplomatic mission. Terroristic act was committed by two Western countries, which they themselves acknowledged. So, following this assassination, the president of one of those countries put the flag on Twitter to symbolize the victory. This event is, of course, planned to lead into something. It means something. So we will see what. I can only say that I hope that it will mean the victory of humanity on the end, not something else. I was asking myself the question, how would the world react if other countries would do this terroristic act? But okay, this is not the time maybe and the place to discuss that, but it is of course extremely important event. We talk about important astrological events that are going to be in January, to happen in January, and mainly I spoke about the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto in January. So there are videos, I recorded those videos at the end of 2019. So if you want, you can check those videos. There are two videos in English, Saturn and Pluto conjunction. Unfortunately, one I recorded on the beach. It was too strong wind, but perhaps you will hear what you need to hear. So we said that there are going to happen very important events in January that will change the world ruling structures, and that will actually influence our future, not only in this year, but in many years to come. We have seen further in January that the governments are changing in the most important countries in the world. So there are important events that are speaking about the change of the ruling structures. Things are still happening in America, and in Russia they changed the government. There are also things happening in the third important country, that is China, that is virus. I personally think that this virus is part of the hybrid war that is already happening, but okay, maybe I'm not the one who should discuss this. There are protests in many countries in the world. For example, in Montenegro, in ex-Yugoslavia, there are protests of Gandhian type, but there are not many people who know about this. So it is extremely big month. There are many big things happening. We also further witnessed those days in January that there was a great struggle for history. Some want to change their history by convincing the world public that they didn't committed crimes, but others did it. I spoke about that especially in a video, Saturn in Capricorn, so maybe you wish to see this video. I recorded it in 2017, and it is very obvious when Saturn is in Capricorn, history comes into focus. You know, this is part of this archetype. So it was not a special prediction. This is something that everyone who is involved in astrology should know. You know, when there are many planets in Capricorn, especially those planets as Saturn and Pluto are, people try to change they deal with history in a new way, and we can say they try to change the history, that what we know about history, and this can be of course sometimes part of big manipulations. Actually, I personally think that this is also part of the hybrid wars that are happening in the world, when somebody is blamed for that what the accusers have done. This is an old game, very dirty game, played by so-called colonial powers, but maybe by some others also. And we saw how far that can go. We saw that in January. I'm purposely not mentioning exact events, but if you follow news and politics, I guess you know what I think about. And yes, it is interesting. This can be strange for some people. How can something that was happening for hundreds of years culminate in January of 2020? But astrologically saying, yes, it was like that. It culminated in that time. As we know, big planets are in Capricorn, and Capricorn is the sign of law and the law of karma. It has taken me a long time to understand why it is such a big subject to change the history and accuse others of the crimes that accusers have committed. And then I understood that they are most probably afraid of karma. Although karma is taken out of context in many religions, most people know that karma exists. So with Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn from the end of 2017 until the end of 2020, this topic is more current than ever before. In my video Saturn in Capricorn, you will see that I mentioned this, and I also mentioned that Saturn is judging. So Saturn judges something that happens in this life, but in previous existences as well. That's his symbolism for those who believe in reincarnation. But of course, we all know that in each court, people can ask for forgiveness. This is another way how to deal with this, you know. Ask for forgiveness, not to accuse another person or somebody else. There are many ways how to deal with this energy. There is one fortunate thing about Capricorn. Now, sign of Capricorn, Jupiter will enter there, and Jupiter is generous. So I think the things will finally be well positioned, that good things will happen finally, but yeah, we see all of those things here. So this process of expectation that someone else will pay for something what we did, this is completely ridiculous, but I can't explain that now in this video. Maybe it will be time to speak or write about that, I will see. I can also say that part of this process of changing history and transferring karma, this idea that karma can be transferred to another, to somebody else, this is actually part of flexible laws that we have, actually self-proclaimed rulers of the world, they legalize everything that they need actually. So the law is very strange in our time. There is some sort of relativization of truth presented all the time, and it is even supported by the science. Because as you know, Einstein's relativism is actually the dominant of the science. That's the dominant subject of the science. Although many scholars deny it. Many scholars deny the relativism of Einstein. So with Uranus in Taurus, like with most of the transits that are in Capricorn, it is becoming clear that science has to change in order to change the world paradigm we live in. If you want to say as a conclusion, yes, we live in historical time, you are right, definitely, and that's good. That's not bad. Let's do not judge is it good or bad, that's okay, that's fine. We are changing, and our consciousness is changing, and we are all part of the big thing, and that's why it's so important that each of us do the job properly. So after January, which was about major structural changes in the world, comes February, which fortunately carries better aspects. So I don't like speaking about good and bad, but yes, there are very positive aspects in February. Actually, through the year, there will be many very good aspects that speaks about great dynamics of development, but it's more inner development. Still, everything is happening. What is happening during the year is happening actually on the background of Jupiter events, of January events, pardon. And that's why this year, the whole year will be very serious in a way, because we feel this energy of Saturn and Pluto. But still, there is a place to do fantastic things during the year. So let's see what Jupiter and Neptune bring when they make sextile. The sextile points out that the time has come for people to make peace with each other, to help themselves, to wake up compassion, and to understand that man is brother to a man, not a wolf to a man. So those forces of evil that are here, there at the world, this world where we live in, they have plagued many peoples, many nations. That those forces were dividing states and nations, and they were turning them against each other in order to gain wealth or whatever they needed. But with the aspect of Jupiter and Neptune, it will become clear to many that the hate and negative feelings do not do any good for anyone, and that people should unite and help each other. This is the subject. How to unite, how to help each other, even if there are things that are working against that. During the year 2020, this aspect will be repeated in July and October, and that's a really fantastic thing. The sextile of Jupiter and Neptune is extremely positive and changes consciousness of masses. This is the aspect that regenerates trust that the world and relationships can be better. With this aspect, some will even exaggerate their ideals, and they will think that paradise on earth is possible. It can go that further. But of course, why not? Why not? To believe in miracles, I agree if somebody needs that. And this is going to happen on the collective level and in the lives of individuals. With Jupiter and Neptune in sextile, similar people will start connecting. Similar energies will connect and will help each other. We can say also that in a way similar people will reorganize themselves and be support to each other. It will be easy with this aspect to recognize who are those who have the same view of the world as we have. Who are our brothers, if you want. Jupiter and Neptune in sextile otherwise wake up intuition, strengthen hope and faith, bring good luck in both material and spiritual spheres of life. I will speak more about that in my special video for February for each zodiac sign, about those effects on each zodiac sign. Let's say a few words about other smaller, not that important transits in February. Venus will be interestingly aspected in February, especially from the 2nd to the 10th. Then diplomacy is stronger and people are looking for ways to come to an agreement. Mars will be strongly positioned in February, especially since February 17th and couple of days around that date. And Mars brings bold new ideas and great originality, also strongly influences politics. It is a very good time for politics. But at the end of the month, however, Venus squares to planets in Capricorn, so we see that diplomacy is in crisis. So the best time for diplomacy is the first half of the month, or until the 20th. On the 19th of February, the Sun enters Aquarius and thus strengthens the influence of masses, of people. The Aquarius archetype is very close to Asian nations and to Slavs. And the Aquarius archetype will increasingly be activated through the 2020 and in the coming years. I will certainly write and speak and record a lot about that, but let me mention here, Aquarius symbolizes collective consciousness. It has never been possible to live as a separate individual. Man has always been part of the collective. But Western civilization suppressed that actually. So now it is necessarily to renew the consciousness of collective or coexistence in the collective. And that will be especially necessary everywhere in the world where Western civilization has penetrated. So the new but old and forgotten rule will be first the collective and then the individual, with the respect for each individual, of course. Also to say, in February, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto are all direct. All big players are direct in February, so everything is now in motion. Or everything is moving, as Chinese say, they say Qi is always on the move. That is all for now. That's all in this video. There is going to be another video for February. If you want, feel free to order personal consultations with me. I offer consultations based on astrological psychology and spiritual astrology. I also offer consultations based on Thetahealing and Feng Shui. Some sort of readings I record and send in audio form, like what is the meaning of my existence, the most important life transits, the most important transits in the next 3 years, and so on. Further, I offer an online astrology course for beginners in English. That's the basics of tropical astrology, level 1. It is on my website. If you want, you can check that and eventually buy it to study astrology online. All of the links, contacts and recommended videos you will find under this video on YouTube. If you like the video, like it, forward it, subscribe to my channel please, and thank you very much in advance. And until next time, I wish you good luck and new hope for the better future of all of us, as we are all brothers and sisters to each other.